What's going on, YouTube? This is Big Pencil coming at you again with a nut. It is Father's Day. I'm gonna start out saying Happy Father's Day to all the pappies out there. I hope y'all have a great day. My youngin', little Slim, she's actually a little sick right now, so she's with her mama. You know, youngins like to be with their mammy when they're sick, so I got to see her yesterday and hung out with her a little bit. You know, we had a good time, but she just ain't feeling good. I don't know what's going on with her, but she'll kick it. She pretty tough. She come from good stock. But I'm gonna take a little minute to tell y'all how we plant our dove field. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can plant them, but what has worked out for us, I'll tell you about it. And you know, the seed that we use, the chemicals that we use, the time frame that we go by, and you know, stuff like that. You know, it takes a little bit of manual labor, you know, to put together a good dove field, and there's several key things that you need to have a good dove field. You can have the best looking sunflowers on this earth. If the doves don't like that particular field, you ain't gonna have no birds. I've seen fields that was absolutely outstanding. Sunflowers, corn, millet, sorghum, perfect weed control, and they fired a gun maybe 2 or 3 times in a whole afternoon. You know, it all comes down to location when it comes to a good dove field. And you know, we have been blessed to have the field we've got for several years, and it has proven itself time and time again that the birds like that field. You know, we have a lot of good shoots. Last year really wasn't all that great. There's a lot of fields that popped up here pretty close by over the last couple seasons, but we still have some good shoots. We still have a good time. But I started hunting with another group of guys up part of the state, South Carolina here, and I was able to join that little outfit this year. So I'll have that field, and I'm gonna tell you one thing, that place is absolutely money. I'm telling you, dang, there was so many birds coming in that thing last year. Hell, while we was planting it this year, you know, well, we was out there planting another spot, and there I could have got a limit of birds easily sitting right there. There ain't nothing even out there for them to eat right now. You know, and that field out there's just got them. But to start with, like I say, you want a good location. A dove loves a field that he can see when he's flying to it. You know, I see a lot of people will plant a field, be surrounded by trees and stuff, and then some of those fields do pretty well. You know, they'll have a good bit of birds coming into them, but a dove loves an area that he can see when he's flying into it, a good wide open spot. They love a good wide open spot. Power line next to it helps, you know, somewhere that they can rest, because a dove, you know, there's a lot of things out there wanting to eat a dove. They don't want to, you know, they don't want to get eaten by nothing. They trying to stay alive just like everybody else. So, you know, then that's where your clean ground comes from. A dove does not want to land in a weedy sunflower field or corn field or anything like that. You know, they want a good clean bottom where ain't no snakes or bobcats or coyotes or foxes or anything like that's going to get to them. And, you know, you want your good location. And yeah, if it don't work out in that spot and you happen to have another spot, try it there. You know, you never know what's going to be a good area until you plant one and see how it's going to do. But, you know, you can plant a lot of different things. We plant mainly sunflowers. You know, we get Clearfield sunflowers. They are Cadre ready. That means you can spray them with Cadre once they get up a certain height, and it won't kill the sunflower, but it will kill the weeds out from underneath it. So that helps you out with your cleanliness of your field. You won't have no weeds in it. Now, what we usually do, of course, well, you know, we've got a good friend of ours that goes through and he does the tractor work for us. We, you know, give him a little money to do the tractor work, and he goes through, you know, a few days before, discs everything up, levels the ground out best he can with the tractor and the disc, and that way it's ready for whenever we get ready to plant. Now, we go up through there and plant it to start with Well, actually, we go up through there, put fertilizer out, then plant it, then we spray the pre-emergent on top of it. Now this year we've used Warrant and Dual Magnum pre-emergent. Now you can do a little research, ask a farmer if you don't know. They'll tell you what's the best pre-emergent to use for sunflowers and how much to put on it, because if you put too much, it'll kill everything and it won't nothing even come up. We had that problem last year on another field that a friend of mine was planting, and he put too much on it and it killed everything. Nothing ever even came up. So, you know, follow the instructions on the bottle that you get. You know, get you some good chemical that's gonna knock the weeds down and give you sunflowers a good fighting chance. Now, in the previous years, we have put fertilizer out a second time whenever they get up about knee high. But this year we decided not to do that because you really don't need a lot of fertilizer on sunflowers. They're pretty resilient and they will grow on their own without a lot of fertilizer. I think we ended up buying 20, 50-pound bags this year and put that out to start with. And we're gonna try that, and that's all we're gonna put out. Now they're doing great. I was out there this morning picking weeds. That's another thing I'm gonna get to in just a minute. We picked all the pigweeds out of it, and they look good. Clean bottoms, other than a few pigweeds we had to pick. But there's no grass, no briars, stuff like that. It's pretty much nipped in the bud. But with that Cadre, you spray it about, it gets about its 5th leaf on it. When it gets about yay high, that's when you go across it and spray it with that Cadre. And that's usually about 2 to 3 weeks after you plant. Now, we plant the middle of May. Within that first weekend after the 1st of May or to the middle of May, that second weekend, somewhere around in there is when we put the seed in the ground. A lot of people plant them earlier, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what we found, it helps your weeds get out of there when you plant it a little bit later, and it also helps to where if your sunflowers are matured and ready to eat a month and a half before the season starts, I've seen droves of them big blackbirds come up in there and decimate a sunflower field before the season ever even comes in, and then they have nothing to shoot over. There ain't no doves in the field because all the seed's gone. You know, so that, you know, planting it in the middle of May gets that field perfectly ready to hunt about 2 weeks before dove season comes in. Now, some birds will already be in there feeding, but 2 weeks before, we spray everything with Roundup to kill it all off. What ain't done wilted over, which 99.9% of it's wilted over already and it's black, and you don't really have to worry about that. But it does kill out some of the weeds on the underside that you didn't get while you was picking them. You know, we pick weeds by hand. Pigweeds, I don't care what you spray, I don't care how much of it you spray. For some reason or another, pigweed will live through just about anything you can put on it that won't kill your sunflowers. I mean, you can spray it and kill it with stuff, I'm sure, but it's gonna kill your sunflower or not even let it come up to start with. So, you know, we go up through there. I think we got, yeah, it might be right at about a 3-acre field. You know, 3 or 4 of us will get out there on an early Sunday morning for church, and we'll pick the pigweeds out by hand. It takes a couple hours, you know, but it makes a big difference. Keeps your field clean. And, you know, the pigweeds and coffee weeds and all that kind of stuff, it sucks your nutrient from your plant. And you don't want that to happen. You want to get the biggest stalks and the biggest heads on your sunflower that you can get without making them so gigantic to where it rains and a good wind comes by and it knocks them all over. We've had that problem happen too. You know, down south end, we get hurricanes just about every year. And it's always right about after that first or second weekend of dove season, the daggone hurricane will come through and knock all your sunflowers down on the ground, and then you might have one decent shoot after that, and then all your seed molds and you got nothing. So, you know, that kind of sucks too. You put a lot of money and effort into a field and then they end up getting gone. But you know, that's what we do. Middle of May, we plant. About 3 weeks later, we spray it with Cadre. Then a couple weeks after that, we go over through there and we pick pigweeds. Pick all the pigweeds and coffee weeds out that we can get. And then about 2 or 3 weeks after that, we'll pick it again. We'll go up through there and make sure we got most of the weeds out, pick whatever we missed. And then the only thing you got to do after that is wait for dove season to come in. You know, like I say, about 2 weeks before the season comes in, we'll go up through there. Usually that first Saturday of their season, you know, we down there running dogs. We're already down there anyway. Our field is actually located really close to our dog club. So we'll go on up through there and, you know, we'll hunt that morning and then go spray it that afternoon. You know, while we're down there, we use backpack sprayers because we don't have a tractor with a boom on it tall enough to not knock down all the sunflowers. So we'll go up through there with backpack sprayers and spray everything to kill it all. And we'll use the tractor to cut maybe 2 or 3 strips up through the middle of the sunflowers to knock them on the ground. And you know, that knocks a good bit of the seed on the ground, and the doves really love landing in that particular spot. And so yeah, it ends up working out real well. You know, we've done this for a good many years now. It's been about 10 or 11 years now we've been planting that same spot down there, and it keeps getting better and better every year. You know, nature has a way of taking things into its own hands and, you know, preventing you from having a good season. But, you know, the good Lord does what he wants when it comes down to nature. So there ain't a whole lot you can do about it. But we have a good time either way you shake a stick at it. And, you know, it's just, you want to have a good field, you're going to have to put in a little extra work. That's all I can tell you. You know, I used to go out there all the time by hand. My God, you know, before we had friends that would help and stuff like that, I had to do a lot of stuff by hand. Putting fertilizer out, my God, I remember 4 years ago, I put out 25, 50-pound sacks of fertilizer by hand with a 5-gallon bucket. I'd put a bag in the bucket, half of it. I'd tote the bucket underneath my arm and sling fertilizer out on top of the plant, walking down each row. I'm gonna tell you, I would not recommend doing that. That's for the birds. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to make it happen. But yeah, you know, if you got any questions about, you know, how to plant your own field, feel free to ask. I'll help you out any way I can. And you know, we do real good. You just ask me and I'll try to help you out. One thing I will say, don't broadcast sunflowers. That you wasting your time. You wasting your time and your money. If you want to broadcast any kind of seed, plant millet or milo or sorghum or something like that, don't broadcast spread sunflowers, because you ain't gonna have nothing. I can promise you, you will have absolutely nothing. I've seen people do that stuff before, and you know, the plants just ain't far enough apart for them to get the necessary nutrient to be able to put heads on them to get good seed out of them. And you know, there's, oh well, I don't have planters, this, that, and other. Say, okay, well, if you don't have planters, you can get these little push row, 1-row push planters. We planted all the corn that we planted last year. We planted it with a 1-row push planter. I mean, we had like 35 rows that we planted with that thing done it in the afternoon. You know, and it ended up working out real good. I was pretty surprised. You know, I would rather do that and do it the right way than to broadcast all the seed out on the ground and then you have nothing and you just wasted all your money. Because stuff is getting really expensive. Fertilizer's done tripled in price this year than what it was last year. But, you know, I'll end up making another couple videos, you know, deer dog drive preps. You know, I'll get everything ready to go and show you what we'll be dog hunting with this year, and I'll show you what we're going to be dove hunting with this year. At some point, I'll gather up everything and show you what we're working with. But this is Big Pencil, and we will be back with another one soon.